In 1999, Tony Blair made a pledge that by the next century, 50% of young adults would go to higher education. And this is one of the few government promises that have actually been achieved. Student numbers have risen, UCAS applications almost doubled. And students are told that a degree is a passport to success, higher salary and cultural enrichment. But in an era of rising student loans, rising student debt and a falling graduate wage premium, does going to university make any sense anymore? Well, firstly, with tuition fees rising, it is going to get more expensive. 3 years tuition could easily cost you £28,500 and then on average £18,000 for rent over 3 years. It's no surprise that the average student loan debt in England has risen to £45,000 and it's almost certainly going to keep rising in the future. Not only that, but the recent changes to the student loan system means that more graduates will be paying back more earlier. The IFS calculate in the old system just 49% ever paid it back. In the future it will rise to 79%. Good for government finances, but it means that many recent graduates will face high marginal tax rates at quite low salaries. 9% marginal income tax rate for income over £25,000. Even if you start on a modest starting salary of £30,000, you'll be looking at a marginal tax rate of 37%. But we are told that all this debt and cost is worth it because graduates will earn more over their lifetime. In 2020, the IFS calculated that on average a male will earn £130,000 more from being a graduate than not. For women, the premium is £100,000 over a lifetime. But there are 3 caveats to this. Firstly, the IFS point out that 20%, 1 in 5 students, are financially worse off from going to university. Secondly, the average figures are skewed by 10% of graduates who really benefit massively, an estimated £500,000 extra in earnings. And the third caveat is that since 2020, there are signs that the graduate wage premium is declining. The ONS state that the real median wage premium on a graduate in 2023 was just £6,500, a decrease of £1,500 over the previous year. And this decline in the wage premium is supported by research which shows that graduate premium has started to decline since previous birth cohorts. If you take women, the graduate premium has fallen from 48% for the 1969 to 74 birth cohort to just 15% for the 1989 to 94 birth cohort. Now the decline in male premium is smaller from 29% to 19%, but it is still pretty significant. Also, when we look at the graduate wage premium, it's also important to take into account other factors that would probably affect wage other than a degree. So it would adjust for socio-economic background, parental attitude and parental wealth, then the benefit of a degree becomes less pronounced. And for those born in 1970, this true graduate premium at 26 years old was just 19%. But for the 1990 birth cohort, the wage premium was just 8%, adjusted for these other factors. Also, an interesting comparison is to compare graduate starting salaries with the national minimum wage. In 1999, the average starting salary of a graduate was almost double that of a minimum wage. In 2023, the graduate premium over the minimum wage is just 30%. Now, a major factor, of course, is the significant increase in the national minimum wage in recent years. It's increased much faster than average wages, and it's been a real boon to low-paid workers. For example, whilst median wages have stagnated since 2010, bar workers have seen a 65% increase in real wages since 1998. From April 2025, a minimum wage job of 40 hours a week will see a take-home pay of £488 or £25,300 a year. Ironically, a wage which would trigger student loan repayments. But whilst low-paid jobs have seen this good and very welcome increase, there's been a real stagnation in other salaries, especially for many graduate jobs, perhaps related to the oversupply of graduates we'll look at soon. And by the way, this is not to criticise the national minimum wage. It has been one of the most successful economic policies of the past 20 years, lifted many out of relative poverty. And if you took away the national minimum wage, it wouldn't mean more real wage growth for graduate jobs. Now, as mentioned, the number of students has almost doubled in the past 30 years. But while student numbers rise, there's also a worrying increase in the problem of underemployment of graduates. Those who graduated before 1992, there is 21% who are underemployed, which means they have a degree but not a job which requires it. And for those who graduated after 2007, this underemployment rate is 33%, so nearly a third of all graduates doing jobs which don't require a degree. But going back to the graduate wage premium, it's really important to bear in mind that there's a huge variation depending on the degrees you do, the university you go to, the location in the country. If you take STEM subjects, we see a wage premium of 60%. And these are the best performing degrees in terms of higher salary. No surprise to see things like computing, law, business and management, maths and economics. But for non-STEM and non-law finance degrees, the nominal wage premium is just 20%. And for degrees like drama and other humanities, the wage premium is often hardly visible at all. London still remains the top location for graduates with a regional premium of 40%, but that does mean the highest rents in the UK, over £2,000. No wonder many graduates have a pretty high salary, but struggling with student loan repayments and very high market rents. If you go into the North and West Midlands, the wage premium for graduates has fallen by about 20% in recent years. And also here, graduate underemployment is twice as high. So basically, for non-Russell universities, non-STEM subjects, and from poorer regions, going to university could be very expensive from a financial point of view. Of course, there are other reasons for going to university other than high salary. We'll look at that later. Now, whilst the UK has been successful in getting more people to go to university, there has been a long tradition of undervaluing vocational skills, which has left the UK with many shortages in sectors such as nursing, bricklayers, builders, plumbers, electricians. We want to build 1.5 million new homes, which is a great ideal, but we don't really have the workers to be able to do it. Yet these skilled trades have a prospect of a really decent salary. I was interested to hear that Paul Johnson, the former head of the IFS, reported that his 24-year-old son was in a position to buy a house in London, not due to a loan from his parents, but because he didn't go to university, got an apprentice, and so got good a paid job. Those years of work enabled him to save for a deposit, gain work experience, and importantly not be saddled with debt. How many 24-year-old graduates would be in a position to buy a house in London? So a really interesting question for many young people is it better to leave school at 18 and start working straight away, or go to university? Now, if I was 18 years old and my only goal was financial security, try and buy a house in my 20s, I would definitely be tempted to train as a plumber or a roofer or electrician, live with my parents for a few years, save up for a deposit, and after you've gained an apprenticeship and job experience, set up my own self-employment business. Even if you're on a minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds and you earn £1,800 a month, if you have subsidised rent living with your parents and you're frugal, you could easily save £800 a month. So when you're aged 21, your friends will be leaving university with £50,000 debt and a shortage of jobs. You could have £30,000 savings and already be on the career ladder to getting a better paid job. Any kind of skilled tradesman gives scope for much better paid jobs than minimum wage jobs like being a cleaner or bar person. I live in Oxford, been quoted £90 an hour for a plumber, £60, £70 for an electrician. If I wanted to get a really good income, I would set up a gutter repair business. Over the past 3 years, I spent £2,000 trying to fix my gutters. The service is absolutely terrible. I'm having to do it all over again. I'm employing a company with very good reviews. They charge £1,500, and the guy said it with 2 people, 1 day, job's done. Even if you take off tax and costs, he's looking at £500 for a day's work, and he's booked up until early March. There's no shortage of demand, but there is a shortage of people offering this kind of a trade. Now, I admit that Oxford's a high living cost area, and live elsewhere you wouldn't necessarily get charged these amounts, but even my parents, living up in Yorkshire, just moved house, find it very difficult to get tradesmen to come in. There's a shortage of workers, and so the price tends to be quite high. Now, you hear a lot about job insecurity, low-paid jobs for young people, but there are actually quite a few opportunities. In fact, I made a recent video on Generation Z not working, and I was interested in this comment, an American who said that, his a friend he knew gave up university and racking up debts, trained as a car mechanic, and started to earn $100,000 a year. I don't think in the UK you'd be earning $100,000 for being a car mechanic, but the hourly rate is around £40 an hour, and there's often a shortage of being able to get a good garage. So I think there are quite a few good opportunities for young people. Don't think traditional jobs, but think things like heat panel installation, solar panel installation, fixing people's gutters, being a gardener, fixing people's IT problems. And a lot of this would be kind of self-employed kind of jobs. There's a lot of opportunity there. And also, whilst graduates worry about the effect of artificial intelligence, I don't think that AI will be able to unblock your toilet just yet. Now, of course, the other side of the coin is that there are many considerations other than how much money do you get. Now, I've actually really enjoyed studying PPE, and I've had an enjoyable career as an economist, teaching economics and making YouTube videos and writing books. By the way, publishers tend to pay pretty low amounts. I got paid around $5,000 to publish this, no commission. But when you consider the time taken to write, the hourly wage for writing a book is not much better than the national minimum wage. But I did enjoy doing it, so that's a big compensation. Publishers know there's no shortage of economic graduates who would jump at the chance to write a book. Maybe I was lucky in the sense that in the future, artificial intelligence will be writing these books and writers will get nothing. Anyway, we'll see. But, would I really prefer to be a roofer and gutter repairman even if I got paid more? And if I'm honest, probably not. I don't like the cold for a start, and it is really hard work, and I enjoy economics. So young people have to weigh up all the different considerations. But it is really important to know that academic achievement, getting a degree, is no silver bullet to financial success. If you are not infused by the idea of studying for 3 years, be very careful in choosing a low-value degree which could leave you with higher debt, higher marginal tax rates, and not necessarily the super well-paying job you might expect. Now, some schools are a bit like gravy trains getting their students into university. To some extent, it helps their rankings and prestige. But not all students are served by going to university, especially now it's so expensive. Now, this topic, pretty interesting, and it does tie in with this video on Generation Z and the rise in economic inactivity. Why are young people not working? So do check it out for more on this topic and let me know whether you think it's worth going to university or not.